Señor Benjamin, ¿qué diablo está haciendo?
Preparando el campo de batalla para una masacre.
¿En serio?
Sí.
Ah,
Mira, Senor Benjamin, this is the remaining gasoline from our earlier landscaping escapades. Please, apply generously to the battlegrounds. It takes a lot of fuel to delete our brother Nero.
Okay, Mr. Haggard.
Dusk is approaching. The final deletion is upon us. Come, Rebecca. We must go.
I want a relationship like that.
Hello, everyone. This is the Big Batch Minute, and I don't know why I sound like I'm going to cry today. I'm just very emotionally connected.
You're sad
this,
that it's just the two of us this time.
Yeah, like we're like Will Smith and his son Trey over here. Just the two of us.
I don't understand that reference, but I kind of don't want to chase that rabbit.
Okay, it's easy. Will Smith had a song called "Just the Two of Us" that was written to his son Trey, his first son before Jaden or Willow came along. It was a very famous song. Anyway, this is the Big Bash Minute.
Yeah,
I think it was also like a semi-cover of an earlier song, though.
Got it. Okay.
You know, where it's mostly a cover, but he changed some of the lyrics to be a bit more about him and his son.
Okay.
Anywho, Dr. Evil famously sung a variant of it about him and his son Scott Evil. Anywho, this is the Big Match Minute. I'm Diet Coke.
And I am Lilith.
And this is the show where we, we talk about wrestling in a specific way. I'm off my game today.
That's
I don't know what's
the most
happening.
general intro. I mean, we're recording this. There's a couple things that I feel like the people should know. One, we're recording this earlier than we almost ever do this.
It's still technically the morning for me.
Yeah. It's like noon time for me.
Yeah.
We usually record. This is usually an evening record. But I'm into, I feel like I have better energy at this point.
I thought I would, but
yeah.
I don't know what's going on here.
You're doing all right. There's one thing that I wanted to mention. This is kind of weird. We have never been, I think, like time-wise closer between like record and release. This is going to be like this episode that we're recording right now is going to come out this Sunday. We're recording on January the 19th, the last full day of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
So that's a weird energy.
Hopefully, I'm going to say. I'm going to throw a hopefully out there.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to sound too stupid when when the flying monkeys come out.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, listen, I hope it doesn't, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if something fucked up and horrible happens tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm going to say something fucked up and horrible is going to happen tomorrow. I think it's just a matter of degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about the Final Deletion 1 minute at a time.
Yes, we
and
are.
We're on minute 6 here.
Minute 6.
A great number, if you ask me.
A great number. And it's not so much an amped up minute as a lot of our minutes have been. It's not an in your face minute.
I would describe this as a challenging minute.
Okay. I do think one thing that's very interesting about this minute is that it more or less like it is a complete story within its like 60 seconds. It almost feels, it's one of those that feels like somebody knew
that this podcast would happen.
that this podcast would happen and decided to just make a very self-contained little minute for us.
That's true. It ends on a fade out. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it does. It ends perfectly on a fade out, which is wild.
Sorry, my dog just decided to step on my headphone cords and just pull my face right towards that microphone.
Little baby Nucky. We get a lot of Christmas interruptions. We don't get a lot of Nucky interruptions on this show.
Yeah, he's trying to make up for it.
Yeah. He's making up for lost time. So, hey,
Lost time is what I call Wednesday nights at 8, if you know what I mean,
I
on
don't,
ABC.
I hate you.
I have no idea when Lost aired. I definitely watched it live back in the day, but I
Uh-huh.
don't remember.
Uh-huh. Let's make like Senor Benjamin and let's dig right in.
Hell yeah, let's do it. So he's tightening the ring ropes still. We get the
Yeah.
tail end of that shot at the start of the minute.
But he's preparing the battlefield for massacre.
Yeah.
For massacre.
Yeah. Massacre. Well, he one of the things he does is he sort of like tests the chairs.
He tests
like-
both the chairs and the kendo sticks. He like
Yeah.
gingerly bangs the chairs together.
See, the kendo stick I kind of get, because a kendo stick that breaks is, I would say, is more dangerous than a kendo stick that doesn't, that
That's
stays together, you know?
Uh-huh.
But the chairs, I don't know what exactly he's testing for with the chairs.
Maybe sound. He wanted to make sure that they sounded good against each other. He's
Maybe he
tuning
was testing
them.
the acoustics. Maybe he's also testing the mic setup that we don't
Uh-huh.
see off screen.
No, he has like what we really don't see is a tuning fork, and then also like there's chair tuning instruments.
Sure.
This is all, stuff that happens.
Of course.
Real equipment that exists in the world.
Yes, for sure. So he gingerly slaps the chairs together. They sound fine, I guess. So he
Yeah.
tosses them under the ring.
Yeah.
Kendo stick, tests that against the ring. It's fine. Tosses it under.
And then and then what's he get, Diet Coke?
He gets just a big old bucket of fireworks.
Yeah.
Like, you don't often see fireworks as part of a wrestling setup.
You don't. And I
Then he
think
does something with one of the fireworks that I don't understand. Maybe you can help me out with this.
I think he's aiming it.
Yeah, he's sort of he has so he's holding a big firework, one with like a pointed end so it to be stuck in the ground.
Yeah.
And he sort of is looking up at the sky while holding it, and with his free hand, he's forming a ring with his fingers, and
It almost seems like
looking
he's
through-
testing the wind or something.
Maybe he's looking at his hand, which has formed a ring, and he's holding it up in the sky. And I don't know what that means, but he as he looks for a second, decides that everything is okay, and then begins jamming the firework into the ground.
Yeah. And I would never want to question Senor Benjamin's credentials of battlefield preparation. He seems to be very
I've never
good at
prepped
it.
a battlefield or played with fireworks, so I'm
Yeah.
really double out of my element here.
Yeah. Oh man, when COVID's over, you and I we're gonna let's prep some battlefields together.
Yeah.
That's really the fun part.
Just on spec, just have some battlefields set up out there for
Uh-huh.
anyone who wants to use them.
So as we mentioned before, what comes up next is that he's just like digging in like a sand dune, it seems like.
Yeah. Is he digging graves? Is he digging a trench? I can't really tell. He's preparing the battlefield for massacre.
He's
I guess is what
preparing.
doing.
Yeah. I mean, Remy Hardy approaches him and asks, "Senor Benjamin, what the hell are you doing?"
Well, she also,
Prepare-
I can't recall if she has specifically done this in the past, but she calls him Senior Benjamin. But this is her dad, yeah?
Yes. This is her dad.
It's weird.
And
that she calls her dad Senior Benjamin.
And specifically, at this exact moment, Matt Hardy's not around. So, like,
this is just a father and daughter. And she's calling him Senior Benjamin. Senior Benjamin. I'm very white. I would like to apologize. Yeah, it's weird. It's a strange moment.
It is a little weird. But what I would like to point out, we've kind of Remy Hardy is a character that I think we've talked a lot about on the show, and specifically her level of being bought in to what Matt Hardy is up to.
This is a big part of what makes this a challenging minute for me. Is trying to understand her POV in this minute.
So here's what I noticed when it's just her and her father, Senor Benjamin.
Yeah.
She is reacting the way a rational human being would.
Is she?
Well, yeah, she's just like, what the hell are you doing?
But,
he says, preparing the battlefield for massacre, and she says, seriously?
But she knows that that's what he's doing because she was there earlier when Matt Hardy told him to do that.
She knows, but like, I think what she thought was that, hey, why is this? Come on, what do you really like? Why are you still doing this? This seems crazy. And then
because once Matt
shows up, and now she's bought in again.
Yeah.
I think she's giving us kind of this dual layered performance where she's like really into it when Matt's around, but is, kind of a little bit flummoxed because she doesn't want to, appear as an unsupportive spouse.
Yeah, I guess. Senior Benjamin, on the other hand, seems fully, completely bought it because when asked what the hell he's doing, the look on his face is like, duh, I'm obviously preparing the battlefield for massacre. Like, of course that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I feel like if you get to the age that Senor Benjamin is at, and you're living with your daughter and son-in-law, and your son-in-law is a multi-millionaire entertainer who has gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
I think you just, you
got to commit one way or the other.
I don't think you want to be the squeaky wheel. And if that means that you have to prepare a battlefield for massacre once in a while.
This does kind of paint a dark portrait of Rebby's life, where she is sort of gingerly reaching out to her, testing the waters with her father.
Yeah. To be like, hey, are you like, is there some level? My father, who I presume was like a guiding part of the early parts of my life, and a rock that I have relied upon for stability. Are we doing this?
Yeah. She also, I notice, definitely way more so once Matt Hardy shows up, she seems to be posing a lot of the time. Which, hey, more power to her. If I had a body like that, I would also constantly be sticking my tits and ass out. But she is definitely like doing pinup poses almost the entire time that he's there.
Now, one thing. Okay, so when Matt shows up, he says mira mira. He comes in with a gas can.
Yeah.
Which rules.
Yeah, you love to see that.
You love to see it. And he says, Senor Benjamin, this is the remaining gasoline from my earlier landscaping escapades, which...
the way he hits the word gasoline is really special to me.
Gasoline.
Well, the thing is, when you break it down, when you look at it sort of intellectually, it's not that weird a pronunciation. He just says... most people would kind of hit the in gasoline.
Yeah.
Whereas he just kind of substitutes an for that. And the rest of the world he pronounces normal, except he does it in such a way where it doesn't feel normal. No, what I mean?
Nothing feels normal anytime, even if like in like you're saying, in a vacuum, it would seem normal. Nothing, no way about when Matt Hardy ever speaks.
He imbues the word with a vibe that most people would not be able to do, myself included. Because at the end of the day, he's saying gasoline. That's all he's really saying weird about it. He's mostly pronouncing it normal, syllable by syllable. And yet, the end result is so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the broken brilliance of Matt Hardy, I suppose.
That is his power.
Broken brilliance is such a genius phrase to have for your wrestling gimmick.
It is really, it
just hits there's a reason I make a point of saying it on every episode is because it just hits the tongue so nice. Matt Hardy is, I think, a genius in this particular character turn. It's unsurprising to me that it blew up in such a big way because it is so very inspired. So Matt
Matt says, he says, please apply generally to the battlefield, referring to the gas can. And Remy, you mentioned that she was like doing poses. She also like when Matt puts down the can, she starts to like poke it or like kind of.
She starts to I would call it like a sort of Vanna White-esque gesturing to it, like very game show host presenting of the gasoline. But then when it cuts to the other shot, she just kind of seems to be checking it out.
Yeah. She's kind of checking it out. There almost seems to be like she's a little concerned.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Unless Matt is looking at her. There's a very like kind of stealthy thing going on. Where like when Matt turns his attention to her, her
face changes. Yeah,
her face turns into this just kind of like, oh yes, honey, we are going to set your brother on fire. Fuck yeah, I love this. And like, but like before that, she's like, how fucking full is that thing? Is this really?
Yeah, how
really gonna happen?
Is here?
That you're gonna use in our home, near our home.
I'm like the direction just poured generally over the battlefield too is interesting. I feel like gasoline on dirt is even if it's gasoline, it's not necessarily going to catch fire that well.
Yeah. Well, you need kind of I feel like if you apply generously to the battlefield, you have a few minutes before a lot of that has evaporated.
It does look like we do seem to be in like late afternoon here, I would say.
We're approaching dusk.
Yeah.
This minute has actually, I would say, like, there's a lot of time movement in this minute. When Senor Benjamin is preparing, the ring, it looks like late afternoon, and like we are golden hour by the time he's over at the dune and we're having this little conversation.
So maybe by the time he finishes digging holes or whatever he's doing, maybe he's in trouble and he's got to do 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet, like the book Holes. Maybe that's what he's doing.
I don't like this world you're imagining.
No, I don't either. As soon as I said it, I was like, my brain was like Holes reference, and then as it started to leave my mouth, I was like, this is no good.
Yeah, because you gotta remember like what the reality of Holes was.
Yeah.
That's a dark story. Now, okay, we took a lot of tangents like mid-Matt sentence. Which is fair because, sometimes you got to do that.
It was a juicy sentence. Every Matt Hardy sentence is like Jersey Mike's. It's got the juice.
Yeah. Please apply generously to the battlefield. It takes a lot of fuel to delete a brother Nero.
Right. What a line.
There's like so much like, okay, so deletion is burning? Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you have a chart of various things to be deleted and how much fuel it takes?
Yeah. Very, very interesting concept that Matt Hardy has introduced here.
Yeah. And then of course, Senor Benjamin says, I feel like the more we dissect this, the more Senor Benjamin calling Matt Mr. Hardy is getting weird to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not. It was weird to begin with, and I don't think it's gonna get any less weird.
Well, see, and that's the thing is that like I think I watched the Final Deletion without knowing really much of anything. I didn't know I think I went into it not knowing the familial relationship of Senor Benjamin.
Yeah.
Because I watched it like when it happened. Not when it happened, but like I watched it within probably a week of when it happened. And I wasn't really following the story closely. So I didn't have that level of context. And I was just like, maybe he's just a gardener who lives on the property. That's not the weirdest thing. But yeah.
It's very uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
That is where I draw the line at praising Matt Hardy.
Yeah. No, there's always going to be issues.
Yeah.
Dusk is approaching. The final deletion is upon us.
Yeah.
Come, Rebecca. We must go. And then they walk away. The camera meaningfully pans down to the gas can, and like we mentioned, there's a almost perfect fade to black.
Yeah, coinciding with the end of this minute. It's very, very interesting that timing worked out.
Yeah. I only hope that Matt Hardy is out there aware that we are fulfilling the grand design that this match was obviously meant to be broken down like this.
Yeah.
There's really no other explanation.
I can't think of one.
No. Yeah.
You trying to think of a setup here?
No. I was gonna ask you high level. Is there anything else you want to say about this minute?
Can I confess something to you, Lily?
Yeah.
I don't really understand what you mean when you say high level sometimes.
Like broad strokes over the whole, as opposed to, we dig in to the minutia, the second to second. I want to know your thoughts about the minute on the whole.
I think it's a strange minute. I think it's I think it really shows the relationship. I think there's a lot of secrets to be discovered between the relationship between these three people. Mm-hmm. I've just now noticed that we can. I don't know what side of the property line this is on, but we definitely do see one of Jeff's runes in the background of one of the digging shots.
Yeah, I do think that this kind of field area with the lake is kind of just the in-between between their two properties.
Maybe that's like symbolic, because they have to go to neutral ground to have this fight.
Well, yeah, they said...
Oh, at the property line, didn't they?
Yeah, we meet at the property line, yes.
Right,
yes.
Right. Also, it seemed that there might be some like chickens or ducks that I'm seeing in the background at one point.
I think you might be right. Let me. I would be delighted. Yeah. I'm seeing them like over Senor Benjamin's right shoulder.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I do think that is just like probably ducks, considering how close to the lake they are.
Yeah, if it's ducks, I would guess that they're like just naturally occurring animals. If it's chicken, I would think they're like part of the household, I guess.
Yeah. I don't see the Hardys as raising fowl. that doesn't
also,
ring true.
I feel like people who raise fowl surprise you.
That's true. I mean, they just generally do, because I don't think I expect that from anyone.
I would it surprise you to learn that I would love to raise fowl.
Oh, I think that would be cool.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but I do think it would be nice.
Let's Okay, now I am trying to think of a plugs joke. It sucks.
While you think of that,
Why did we tie ourselves to this gimmick?
Why did we do that?
Okay, I mean,
I could give you some time to get into the semi-interesting reason why I will never probably raise fowl.
Okay.
My beautiful girlfriend Casey is pretty anti-bird, because one time she was on a boat. I hope she doesn't mind me telling her this story. Okay. One time she was on a boat whale watching, and a seagull shat directly into her mouth. She had like opened her mouth to say something, and just like 1 in a million shot, seagull just bullseyed right into her mouth. And so she now, quite reasonably, has a grudge against birds. Like, I love birds, but I understand why you would never like birds again after that.
Holy shit. So if I were Casey in that scenario, I think what I would want to do is just sink the boat I was on and everyone on it, so that no memory of this event could ever escape. But say that you were another person on this boat and you caught Casey with a power drill, just drilling holes at the bottom of the boat, and you wanted to fix this so that everyone doesn't die because of this admittedly extremely unfortunate scenario that has befallen your girlfriend Casey. What would you do to prevent everyone from dying at sea?
I would turn to my friend Lily and I would say, "Hey, you got any plugs for me?"
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can find me on the internet, Death Carpets on any social media that I really want to be found on, including Twitter and Instagram. I'm really not on Instagram that much. I'm really not on Twitter that much anymore. You can find my podcast. It's called Ghost Puncher Core. You can find it on whatever podcast service you're probably listening to this on. There's going to be an upcoming, I keep wanting to say minute episode. There's an upcoming episode of Ghost Puncher that features this podcast's very own Diet Coke.
What the hell? That's me.
Yeah, you coming in to play some roles, including the incredible Pepsi Man.
Yeah,
which is of course based on the licensed video game character, but I think Diet Coke spins it out into a whole new, I would say, several leagues deeper than the original Pepsi Man.
I think that's all. It's all in the subtext of the original text. Everything that's in my performance is in the subtext of the original Pepsi Man video
Interesting.
game, I believe.
Interesting. Diet Coke, do you have any plugs?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at VeryCoolEmily. You can find links to all my podcasts in my bio there. Excuse me. I also stream on Twitch occasionally. Go to dietcoke.cool to find my Twitch channel. And then, yeah, that's about it. The worst part of having a podcast to me is having to plug it all the time. I think I'm going to start a secret podcast just so that I have an excuse to not talk about it, you know?
That's okay. We could also just stop doing plugs on this show.
I mean, listen, I get it. I get why we do it. I'm sorry that I'm such a I'm a podcast Grinch.
I also just I there's no plugs on fucking Ghost Puncher Core.
It would free us from the obligation of having to come up with a plugs joke.
We could do that. We could kill the only reason I would feel weird is we've been getting good feedback about our episodes that have guests in them.
And you want to give the guests an opportunity to play.
I would, yeah. I don't want to bring, especially people who have like cool things that they're doing.
Yeah, maybe we let the guests do it, but
maybe we don't need to give out the same 3
apologies
links.
to Andrew, who my once and future podcast co-host. We don't have any going at the moment, but sorry for me not plugging our shows, I guess.
Well, another thing that, some podcasts do this, and I would really love it if we did do this on our podcast, is, they have some kind of like meaningful and catchy, or maybe not even meaningful, kind of outro phrase, something that lets people know, hey, the podcast is done. And you are free. Do you think we could maybe do something like that?
No, I don't.